Welcome back. We're here to do the update for the full moon in Scorpio. Yes, I am early. I was going to do this earlier on in the piece, but I do have this habit of just boom, coming live or not pre-recording it and getting it out on time. And this is a pretty important lunation, so I didn't want to go without actually getting this done. So my intuition was, please schedule it, Yildiz, and send some messages to some people and we will get into it. For those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium, intuitive astrologer, and soul coach. We do have a membership, which tomorrow we will be doing an update based around this lunation, and we will be, for the members, diving into their birth charts and where they directly fall. So if you are a member and you're here on the live, feel free to go through into the members directly after this video, and you can PM me your birth chart or the placements as mentioned, and we can directly look at that. Now, I'm going to put my head up on screen and we are going to talk about this a little bit. And there was something that actually occurred for me to go, oh, heck, we really need to cover this. And it was a few things that I have been seeing directly happening in the news. And I was like, gee, you know, this being Scorpio, especially because I do know very well about the energy of Scorpio and how it can show up and what some of the more difficult subject matters can be to do with this. Now, although we're doing this at the end of April, it is going to be on the first day of the month that we're actually having the full moon in Scorpio. Now, ironically, it's almost like before we even get into the astrological energy and some of the key themes that are happening, it's almost like, well, before we start, guess what? We're going to have to deal with the Scorpio moon. It is going to be at 11 degrees, and I am going to go into some of the context of how this can show up and some of the remedies, some of the things to directly watch for. And yes, we'll bounce back here. I took some time. I haven't completely got my life together, but we are going to have these star signs through this, and we'll go star sign by star sign, giving you some pointers and tips. And hopefully I won't get to bed at midnight. So I'll say a quick hello to you guys. Morning, Dawn. How are you doing? Hi, Giggle. Hi, Antonella. How are we doing? How are we handling the energy at the moment? Currently, we do have the moon in Libra. So just coming off the back end of this, going into it, what we do need to realize is we had that heavy Aries energy this month. And it is going to be something that we're going to be dealing with, grappling with, evolving through. I don't necessarily feel that next month is going to be like May is going to be, oh, it's so boring. No, I don't feel that at all. But I do feel the context of it and how we're going to be unpacking it is going to be extremely different. We do have 2 full moons during the month as well as a new moon. And so we just did have Uranus move out of Taurus. That's one thing to be aware of as we're moving to this lunation. And because of that, you know, we can be super happy because Uranus is the rebel without a cause. It's the disruptor. It has been sitting in Taurus for a long time. And all those Taurian energies were Venusian in nature. And so I don't quite at the moment know what is worse, not having it there or having it there. And the reason being is because we now officially do not technically have a Venusian sign in the sky apart from, you could say, Pisces, and that's the North Node. But that's going to move too. So with that intact, our brains are going to be really super wide. We are going to be thinking a lot. We could have these random clarity ideas. We could have loose lips. We do need to be careful the things that we say, how we articulate them, and what we're thinking. Our minds directly can be going at 100 miles an hour. We can be more sensitive to energy at this point in time. And, you know, when you are getting to that degree, your sleeping patterns will be interrupted. Your thought processes crossed wires. You might have to backtrack. And you've probably even seen this on YouTube. And sometimes these things come through in a very matter-of-fact manifestation. Sometimes when I've been posting comments on various platforms, you may see 2 comments coming up and things were coming in multiples, very much Gemini in nature. So backtracking, having to do things twice. And we are going to have 2 situations going on this year with a kite, and I'll have to get the terminology for you. But again, it's like this duplicate energy we have coming through. So you could currently be dealing with so many things and at the same time not really know what to deal with first. And you could have a direct paranoia that somebody is going to do something to hurt you or that something bad's going to happen, you know, because Scorpio's deep. Scorpio can create paranoia. It can create obsessiveness, control-related dynamics. It can bring up the shadow, you know, your memories of lost loved ones. So you're going to bump into people. You're going to be very reflective. You're going to feel needy but not want someone to need you too much. So there's a real push-pull. Those that have Scorpio placements, the older they tend to get, depending on where it is placed, tend to operate inside of that zodiac sign position a lot more effectively because the self-awareness is there, and you're really going to have self-awareness within this lunation. If you can understand how it can show up, you will navigate it better. And this is going to be a difficult one to navigate for the next 2 weeks until we get to the next lunation, which is the shadow sign of the zodiac, and it is in the house of Taurus. It's going to be a new moon. So subjects relating to Scorpio can be gruesome. Okay, I'm not going to lie. They can be. You will see it manifest in the media. You will see it manifest in the news, in your own life, in your circle of friends, and subjects that you personally be going through. So we're going to look at this as an onion and look at it on a broader scale. One way it can manifest is very 8th house matters. It's very scorpionic. Plus, on top of this, Pluto's about to go retrograde. So it's a double whammy in that Pluto nature. It's going to affect women. It's going to be subjects to mother archetype, home, and we'll get into the reasons why. Young generation, emotions, memories, the feminine, and it's Scorpio. So betrayals and shady behavior. We can see the archetype with certain files. They may come back up again with more reference points. Things to do with tax and debt, things to do with betrayals. These can be times you could find out that your partner's betrayed you, or something wasn't shared with you, or your loose lips could sink ships. So again, we do need to be careful what we say. Somebody could say something to you and you could ever so personalize it. Things that you didn't realize hurt you can resurface. And that could be by observing something. It can be by feeling inadequate. Because again, in order to understand the zodiac sign, we have to understand the shadow. And we've already dealt with a lot of that shadow because it was sitting within Uranus. And it's been there for over 7 years. So the insecurities of instabilities with our finances, the insecurities within instabilities and changes and inability to keep things similar, because what does Taurus like to do? I'm going to put this here. I'm going to build a pyramid. I'm wanting the nice things in life, but I'm going to build it up like a nest egg. And so we see that happening in the stock market. We see that happening in our love lives. And it could have been, if it was in your 4th house, you had to keep moving. You know, if you were a Scorpio or a Taurus, it could have been radical changes happening with shared resources or your relationships. You get my gist. So it has moved, but now we're on the let's break that down cycle with this lunation. So yes, the ghosts of girlfriends past in this transit can come up. We also will have Pluto go retrograde. And generally speaking, when Pluto goes retrograde with this, within that 2-week axis, which is where it's happening, we could get paranoid, we could get worried, we might have sudden changes happening, which we're going to go into your zodiac signs and have a look at how they can show up, what the remedies are, how you can deal with them, and what the positive silver lining of this is, and how you can navigate it with more trust, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to miss anything. So Pluto, when it goes retrograde, we need to get past a particular degree point for us to really ease into that circumstance. Does that make sense? It's a very slow moving position. As it goes retrograde, some of the things can become heightened and deeper. But within the retrograde, you may find you will have time to rework the Aquarian energy of your chart. And some of those things would have shown up, I believe, February, because we had the eclipse in Aquarius, and it is where the nodes are going to go. It's almost like you could look at these transits and how they're showing up in your life as protective mechanisms to get you prepared, to aid in the pivot, so that you're prepared when the nodes move and for what we are moving into in these new cycles, which although astrologers do say this year is two sides, we get the heaviest bit, especially the ingress of Gemini. Yes, it has been historically, we do tend to see the archetypal war in that position, but it's not the only way it can show up. There was extremely bold situations that happened that were very positive. So it's not just that polarity. It's not just that circumstance happening or possibilities. Let's place it that way. So Scorpio, tax, debt, legacies, inheritances, betrayals of the past, insecurities, control-related dynamics, oil, things hidden, wellness with your intimate partners, health checks for feminines. So again, if you feel anything's off, it's time to go. It's time to get it checked. It's time to deal with it. The good thing is, because it is a full moon, a lot of these things, if they crop up and you feel like the floor is lava and you jump in and you directly deal with them, you're going to need to trust the pivots and the changes that are happening. As they say, if a door is closing, another one is meant for you, and another one generally 9 times out of 10 is going to open for you. But again, it is for us to actually face. This would not be the time to move into controlling, or, you know, you're going to see it on YouTube as well. I've already spotted one individual on their channel, and they were getting ever so angry. And look, it's understandable. The energy is, it can be aggressive. It can be dangerous. It is Scorpio. There was one direct individual on Facebook that was talking about the fact that she was going out bush alone and it was her birthday. We also did have a missing person over here in Australia. And when it was announced that this little girl actually went missing, the first thing I went to was, oh, good grief, this is the worst possible time this energy could happen. And so we really do need to be very careful with our safety at this time, because it is Scorpio. Scorpio has its positive sides and it has its negative sides. And because we have so many people in the world, we need to understand how the archetype can actually show up. So the one thing I would say is this is not a good time to go out and have a drink and not keep an eye on your drink, because the scorpion tail is poison. So it's protecting yourself and having that awareness and looking at your environment. It's being careful with where you store things that are toxic, placing them away at this time, doing the clean in your house and putting those things behind locked doors, washing your hands after, and being aware of how you discard those things. It could be snake bites, spider bites, eating something that's off. So you've got to check the use by date. So your food, you got to smell it, you got to look at the texture. You could be more prone to your guts getting quite clogged. You're going to need to eat food that is very, I would say, great time to cleanse, but you've got to go by what actually is going on with your body and understand how it's operating. So you're going to find that we are coming off all that energy that we had this month, theoretically, because we're doing this the day before the moon. If you were binge eating on cookies, it was because Uranus was in Taurus. And yes, we are going to have another Venus moon. And that is where we're going to get some sweetness coming through mid-month. So rest assured there is some coming. But again, we could then go back to actually overeating. Now, those that were trying to get their A game this year, There's beautiful possibilities for that, but we're going to have to learn how to maintain fast energy. It's going to be very fast. You could feel a sense of urgency that you want to complete things and get them done. And I would say don't rush. Unless something is ultimately screaming at you saying, you have to do this right now, you have to make a decision. Pause through the lunation. If you can, wait for 2 weeks. If you know what the circumstance is in the areas we may address based on your zodiac signs, and if you understand where it's showing up in your chart directly, beautiful. Start chipping away at it. Don't discard the things that you hold for dreams, because it may not necessarily be saying no. It may be saying, okay, we need to pivot here. We need to pivot. We need to make a plan of action. So it's a need to be extremely wise. It's a need to be digging deep into the emotional connection to it, especially if you're on the fence to do with something. If you are making emotional decisions over rational decisions, you need to pull a combination of both. What is another thing? So where it comes to your paperwork and, getting into the grit of things, I would say if you can delay, wait until, at least 4 days after the lunation. But if you can, behind the scenes, deal with what you need to do. If you have conflict with somebody, try to remove yourself. Give yourself the grace to make a decision on how to respond. And even if you have the best of intentions, there is still going to be an extreme possibility of misunderstandings. And sometimes when people don't have the tools or understanding about how the lunations can show up, what tends to happen is they're reacting as a human being, none the wiser of what the frequency is. Very similar to the ocean with the ebbs and flows in our cycles. We directly, in that emotional sense, you see it with I worked in nursing for years and, in hospitals, and we would have more intakes during full moons. We'd have more aggressive behavior during full moons. Police would say the same. So be aware of that. Don't go anywhere without telling somebody. Be aware of your safety, because as I mentioned, unfortunately, this individual did actually was found, but did not make it. So the person in question, like I mentioned, when I saw the Scorpio moon, I felt, oh God, this is not good. Now, the other thing I can say this year, especially with cold cases, some of those subjects right now can be coming up, and we can have this some people can be quite fixated on those things and wondering, is there going to be justice? Is there going to be this person actually found? And if you do actually Google, we pretty much, with that North Node in Pisces, as soon as it ingressed, we have actually been having a lot of breakthroughs, A, in science, B, in cold cases. It is because it is the end of the zodiac sign. So one of my major predictions is, by the time the nodes move, and even months after, cold cases from eons ago. I think one of the oldest cases I saw was 80 years, and I think one even like a lot further. I'm talking century. Yeah, very old cases. So those that have not had like closure, clarity, a lot of that is going to be coming through where these cases are actually going to be cracked. So that's one of my predictions. Our rates as well. We can find there is uncertainty about what is going to be happening. Moon can be home, so it can be the wage and how you're paying your bills, and what the trades are of different countries. And again, not financial advice, not medical advice, but these are some ways this situation actually can show up. Do we have any questions before I continue? Do you have any like, oh, I've noticed this, or this has been happening? Do you have any key questions? I hope you get a drink. Both Giggle and I have had like neck aches and bones. Has anything in particular have you noticed anything since Uranus moved into Gemini? The Scorpio energy could be an ending. Well, generally it is, but it is a beginning as well. I did read a couple of posts and I was hella baffled. Don't try to use your due diligence and actually get the source, okay? So If you are stumbling across something, dig deeper. Do the Scorpio. Dig deeper. Read into it. Because already before this lunation, you can always find this 2 weeks prior to the lunation. You'll get some of the manifestation of this coming through. You will see those changes in those particular areas showing up. So a lot of the Scorpionic energies have already started playing out. Saturn and Aries, it's almost like we feel this sense that, in a way, Neptune is making us feel we really want the facts and we really need to build something. And it's like this urgency. So the sheer frustration is very much coming up. I believe it's next year. It could be this year, actually. I think Chiron is moving. Where is it? Okay. June the 19th. And you're not going to like where it's moving. It's like, yeah, we just got over the Aries stuff. Hopefully, because we have had Chiron in Aries, which they say that it sits in that zodiac sign for a lot longer, because technically we have a lot more work in that particular area of our life, and we are going to have it sitting there for a long time. The restriction associated to it is aiding us with being very serious about our new beginnings, although it is theoretically the full card in tarot, but as a young child being reborn, and oh, isn't the world beautiful? It's Neptune, right? Oh, look at that. That's safe. No, maybe not, because it's Neptune, and then it goes retrograde, and you're like, hell, that was a long miss there. I really didn't quite think that one. I didn't really see that clearly. Saturn's going, hold up, slow down. So are we going to get chased off? Yes, because the South Node is in Virgo. So we're like, I need the details. I've got to structure it. And then Saturn and Aries is going, good boy, good girl. Yep, that's right. You need structure, you need form, yet Uranus and Taurus taught us, guess what was stable. So some of us are going to accept that factor and go, well, we lived through that. Gemini is bringing radical change, radical thinking, radical belief systems. So there's going to be so much to bite off and unpack that you're not quite going to know what to believe, how it can be, because it's ever so new. It's going to be very new. That's the best way I can unpack it and kind of describe it to you. So yes, it is entering into Taurus, yes. So it's like we just left Uranus and Taurus, and then it's going to be, here you go. We're going to give you the wounds associated to Taurus. And so, yes, we can have agricultural situations going on. We can have wounds and fears associated to it. We can see that astrologically. As I mentioned, no Venus now. So it's not we won't have Venus. We won't have one of the long-standing planets sitting in a Venus sign, which means we're very masculine in nature. We're coming through very assertive. We're like, we need to harden up. We need to get these things done. It's not to say that we don't have that emotional access, but once the nodes move out of that, it's going to push us into that Plutonian energy. So I'd really advise you guys during this retrograde and during this lunation to investigate the more authentic version of yourself. Warts and all, okay? The freakier the idea, it's going to be possible. Why is this? We have Pluto in Aquarius going retrograde. We have Scorpio, Pluto in nature, in a full moon. We also have Saturn and Neptune in Aries. It's very Scorpionic. And we have Uranus in Gemini. So the innovator, the thinker, the changer, the rebel without a cause, it's happening today. We're making that happen. We're stepping out, and we're going to have that dream and make that thing a physical reality. A lot of you are going to be pushed back in a path. You're going to be pushed where you're supposed to be. Aquarians at the moment can feel, oh my gosh, I have 2 colleagues and dear friends that are Aquarius, and I did say to them, the beginning of the year, you will not feel like this is your year. And but the second half of the year is the kickoff of it. The other thing is we very commonly do tend to have, and it's not to say that on this occasion, and I'm going to bring some of my predictions later in the piece because we're going to go into your zodiacs. But what we do tend to find from when I've tracked the North Node in Aquarius, the South Node in Leo, we tend to get a year's grace and then we tend to have a recession. Does that mean it's going to happen on this occasion? Not necessarily, although we are already seeing things shifting in a different way, which is hyperinflation. So that distinctly is a possibility. I'm going to be going into some of these subjects with the members and how I'm designing the network with certain rooms, which I'm sure they've noticed I'm kind of pivoting some rooms, is to help them with resources associated with the changes that are coming in the next 3 years. A is because I think we will need community. We will need to network with each other. We will need to understand so we can more effectively make decisions for ourselves about how to pivot and be prepared, and really creating those resources for them so that they can make the changes that they need to do in their life. Now, we are going to go into the zodiac signs for you guys. And the first thing I am going to do, I'll bounce back one more time. I'm going to read the 2 Sabian symbols. So the first one is today's lunation on the 30th of the month. It is 25 degrees Libra. Funny that. You've worked so hard to get here. Okay, can anyone relate? Are you like, is anything ever good gonna come? I've been to hell and back. Why does everything always keep going wrong? It's okay, I feel you. I feel you. And sometimes you do need to laugh, or you're gonna cry. Okay. Now everything is happening for me. I mean, like I said, I was reading a post on Facebook and they're like, there's a beautiful manifestation, mate. Okay, when you're feeling betrayed and dirty, and when you're in the emotion, you do not, the whole world can just, go hoot itself. You're not there. That's like somebody trying to negotiate with somebody who's intoxicated. It's not going to work. So we need to first acknowledge what we're moving into. When you're upset, the most intellectually wise person is going to be able to spot it. And that's probably a Scorpio. It's like, oh, hell, you're in it. You're in the thick of it. So don't curse yourself if you find yourself in it. But also have empathy for others. Also, not everyone's trustworthy. Let's just be real. Not everyone is your best friend and has your best interests at heart. So Uranus and Aquarius, not Uranus, well, it is Uranian energy. Pluto in Aquarius is like, are you my friend? Are you with me? Are you my tribe? But that doesn't mean we cast people out. It means we operate differently. We're being emotionally intelligent because we all unfortunately have to live here and sing Kumbaya together. That's the real world. But that's not what we're seeing right now. So it's forcing this energy to come up. And where does prejudice come from? It comes from a conflict we had previously. And so we have formed a wound, the wound's there. We have formed a coping mechanism to say, thou shalt not enter. And then another wound happens. So instead of directly dealing with it, this is what Chiron's about, the individual dealing with it. How do we not deal with it? Because our parents had feelings, that's then handed on. And then, our parents had feelings. And before you know it, we're carrying that luggage around. And this is a brand new world we're moving into. And we're rewriting it. But in order to do that, we have to be aware that when we see someone that is triggered, it's not to say enable, and it's not to say that we don't have dangerous people in the world, because we do. It's the real world. It's to acknowledge that everything like an ecosystem has its place, be it that's right or not, but to protect yourself and to understand. And if there is a conflict you're having to deal with, you're aware because you know the transits. You're aware because you are articulating to yourself, wow, I'm having a trigger. I mean, I shared with Giggle tonight a private conversation I had with my husband, and it was to do with how I communicate. So again, what the observation was, because Scorpio's paranoid, right? And that's the collective energy for all of us. I've acknowledged that X, Y, and Z is happening, and that makes me feel X, Y, and Z. But I know that that is more about the transits, and that's not about you, but I still feel like the inner child. Does that make sense? Now, we won't go into the crap of what it was about. He thought it was hilarious. I solved the problem myself because I acknowledged the wound. I verbalized it. It came through quite comical because when we do listen to our wounds, sometimes they do sound so poxy. And then I came through the other side. But still, we addressed the elephant in the room. Food for thought. So, Libra, 25 degrees. Back to it. Okay, it's an air element. It's like the Justice card. The formula is manipulating, critical, ingenious, generalized, socially inspired. Information of the symbol of the autumn leaf. I'm just scrolling to see the best. Depends on the blog post. Let's go to this. Okay. With a certain attitude of perception, we can see beneath the depths of spiritual truth in all things. Okay, the fallen leaf seen tactfully is not a wasted product of the tree. It becomes organic matter. It's almost like psychologically preparing ourselves for what Scorpio is. What's Scorpio? Scorpio is the compost. Without the compost, we wouldn't have food. We wouldn't have trees. We wouldn't have organic matter. It is the cycles of life. In the human level, it is tact that awakens the comprehension, since through it we look for ways to show appreciation of the value that another person brings. And Scorpio also in that kind of axis, because Taurus is over the other side, but it is the give and take. So we're going to be addressing in our connections, what are you giving? Where's the reciprocity? Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, if you're in a job, well, what are you giving me? What am I getting? And there can be this push and pull, but we're coming to a balance within it. Then we move to the Scorpio moon. Just the one thing I could say is, is this the manifestation moon? This is an acceptance and go through the tunnel. This is see what you uncover through this circumstance. It is the feeling that arises due to a circumstance, person, place, thing, or subject matter. It's not the end. You are more than this moment. It's what is it showing you? Does that make sense? Scorpio, I'm only doing my job. Scorpio at 11 degrees. The span of retention. It's a water element. It's fixed, although it's in a scorpionic energy. Okay. Spiritual, experimentational. This is a symbol of the soul's personal immortality, which we do deal with these things. Death, rebirth, eagerness to return in various phases of his experiences again and again. You physically could talk about the serpent eating the tail. You're being reborn. It's not over. There's, it's to do with safety. It can be passion. It can be lust. It can be envy and greed. So, okay, the warning signals ahead. You got the yin to the yang. So, it's about safety. When positive, the degree is inherently it's full of courage, which constitutes a protection from the world. And when negative, a tendency to hysteria on the left occasionally. Okay, warning signs ahead. I'm only doing my job. These are possibilities. These are possibly the most dangerous words that could be uttered. However, they can likewise be the most honourable and humble words that can be said. Now, when we look at that, when we look at this degree point, when we've talked about all the key taboo subjects, which can be somebody passing, it could be a memory, it could be somebody has harmed us intimately. all of those difficult subjects. We know that when we are talking to somebody and it's a fresh wound, it's something that's happened most recently. They have their belief systems, they have their ways of unpacking it. So there is the tactful, the morale, the I feel your pain, but I don't really. And I think sometimes we can get offended, especially like I said, when they're in that Scorpio energy, we're like, you don't know how I feel. And because we're wanting to protect ourselves, it's like, get away from me. I can't even feel my skin because a shocking event has occurred. So, like I said, we could see the shadow coming up in other people and go, heck, I've been where you've been. But it's going to be a tactful approach you're going to have to use. And even sometimes, if your intent is intent and it's coming with a positive level, you know you've done all you really can. And so then the way you could look at it is if something was to kind of happen and you have done all due diligence and you're being cautious and the person's triggered, just get this too will pass, but they're having a scorpionic moment. And so it's not about you, but you could take it like it's like you, if that makes sense. Let's get into your zodiacs. I'm going to chuck your chats off the corner so we directly can see the zodiac. Yeah, can't really read you there anyway. And I'll get these back up and we are going to go zodiac by zodiac. So, I mean, does it make sense? Any Aries in the house? Called yesterday morning. Nice general chit chat. Yeah, wait till the Scorpio moon hits. It's like, who let that dance out? Did you hear that? Oh, Lord. You have no idea how much Scorpio I have in my chart, and that is what like, I feel for you guys. Oh. And look, it's going to come up in the Venus retrograde. The other thing is, we are having a double whammy when it comes to this. We're going to start getting the shadow with Juno this month, so we're going into it. It's a coming. And it's going to be in Aquarius. Okay. So, let's pull up the wheel. What do I say about you, Aries? Okay, Aries, crap, man. You guys, if you've made it through this far of the month, congratulations. How do you feel? We will have you feeling psychologically better soon. You will be very happy when the nodes move. You are finding ways of dealing with your psychology, although maybe people might not want to push you too hard, and that's around this Scorpio lunation. Now, for you, you guys are very similar to Libra in a sense that there needs to be reciprocity, okay? You guys, if anything, I would say my best advice to you is it's okay to ask for help, okay? A lot of times you guys tend to take on way too much. You're like, it's okay. The ship is going down. It's okay to ask for help. You guys have had a pretty hectic few years. Like, it's okay to ask for help. If you do feel tired, your energy is going to recharge. Some of those dreams that you're wanting, your fitness, it's going to come back on track. Where it is hitting you at the moment is going to be, it's your 8th house. Oh, hell. Okay, you could be tying up a debt. You could be tax, debt, legacies, inheritances. Now, does it have to be those physical items? No. It could be a contract that you're currently dealing with. I'll get you back on screen. You could be trying to negotiate or looking at your money, getting your accounts in order. You could be like, you know what? The buck's being really stretched right now. How do I deal with this? Now, the 8th house can be paying a debt off. You could have officially, and if you have, a very big congratulations. And there is going to be opportunities for you to change this area. I think the way in which you have looked at shared resources has evolved. I think this could be down to how you actually use your money, where you invest your money, where you derive money. If there's an insurance claim, for instance, you could be looking to providers. If it could be your partner's income that has been affected. Sometimes this can show up, say if it's a payment that you receive for alimony, or it's a payment that you get from a government body. There could be something changing there and going through an evolution, but it's also kind of like a sundry situation. So after this lunation, although we're wrapping up a chapter and we're going into emotions, we could just be having triggers associated to it, like it's the first spell. Because like I said, we are going to have Venus retrograde, and it is going to be in the zodiac sign. So it's important to pay attention to this, especially because Juno also, like a Venusian sign, is also going to do that retrograde. So we're going to have two opportunities in that, and within 6 to 12 months again. But it does appear to be that between now and mid-year, these things are going to need to be addressed and wrapped up and looked at. So you do have some time, but there could be some surprises. You might have a sudden bill that all of a sudden you have to pay. And because it's moon, it could be that you're going into an investment. It might be that you are looking at your partner's income and it's not as much, or now it's going to change and it could be more. But even the negotiation between parties, if it's an employment contract that you're looking at, there could be this negotiation and push-pull of, do they have it? Am I getting value out of this? This also can and is not limited to just one area. It could be a subject to do with an inheritance, an old inheritance, a memory. It might be an anniversary date that has cropped up. So like I said, it can come through in a myriad of ways. If you're an Aries and you know how this is happening, even it can be wounds, it can be intimate wounds. This person betrayed me, I'm so down at them. You could bump into a person that you had a connection with where there was this absolute obsession with. And yes, it could be that something comes to a close in a wound within it, so that an opening of a new chapter and butterflies can come in a new setting. Again, I would say the juicy bit is where Taurus comes in, especially where it comes to your income. I think if you've been looking at, hey, could I look at something for myself? Could I be creating something that I could invest in for myself and generate an income? I would say between those two lunations, it could be something that you're actually tuning into for some of you. We'll close that down. Yeah, and you will find, for you, because Uranus has been moving through your second house, it's like money for you guys has been easy come, easy go. It's there. I'm doing really good. And then it's like, where did that go? Okay, well, that came in quick. So that should kind of ease up now. But you also might have, because of Uranus in Taurus, and between now the Scorpio moon, which is the shadow sign, moving over to mid-month where the new moon in Taurus is going to be, some of you could have a bit of luck. Some of you might attain an asset, you might be updating something in your home, but you also could look at a different way of valuing yourself. You could eat a bit more around that time. That would be the one warning part. But pay rises also are possible, or finding a different stream of income, and potentially even for investments and material and land value. I hope that helps. Warning signs, one for the Aries, I would say, is if you are going to be intimate with a person that you knew, I would say at the moment till the lunation moves, use downstairs PPE. Okay, it's Scorpio. We don't want no juju, right? Okay, Taurus. Are you guys happy? Are you guys happy Uranus has moved out of your zodiac sign? I mean, certain key placements like Scorpio and Taurus and Gemini, I think you guys are like, yeah, I'm a bit like, yeah, I'm just saying. Okay, Taurus. Now for you, this is the polar opposite. This is you versus another person. I would say at the moment, for the first 2 weeks, don't go to extremes with spending. You could be looking at, what people are taking from you, the give and take, the healthy boundaries, your physical contract. How could this show up? Because it's moon, it could be more to do with an emotion associated to it. You also, especially because it's moon, try to keep the boundaries there with children. You might find that the reciprocity isn't there and the respect, etc. This could be with a contract or a partnership. It also could be with a romantic partner. You are readdressing and rebalancing that axis. So in one breath, it's going to be like, I know who I am. And on the other side, there's going to be, oh, you're not going to want to go to extremes with that. There could be, if you're going to go into a big purchase, I'd probably wait, again, not financial advice, I'd wait till mid-month. I can say moving ahead, we are going to have ups and downs. So based around that over the next 3 years, if you feel that is a good deal, go for gold. If you feel you can hold the fort, go for gold. If it is, although it's moon, I wouldn't say it would be a car. But whatever this investment is that you're looking at, for instance, say if it was a car, we're going to have a lot of changes in the car industry. Uranus has moved into Gemini. So you might get a better deal a little bit further down the track. That's your call. That's not advice. That's just observation. From a relationship point of view, you could have blasts from the past coming back. I would say, especially in your feminine organs, if you need a checkup or anything to that degree, probably a good time. If you feel something's off, go and see a professional. And don't be ashamed, just go, hey, this feels off. This feels funky. This is something I need to look at because it is the Venusian energy of the body. And it's Scorpio. Don't fester on things, okay? Because what can happen is we can get a bit, bleepy. We can say things in haste and we can be very regretful. But you could have a very, very deep conversation with your loved ones around you. It can be with your family members. It might be with, it could be with a partner. It might be with children. It could be with some co-workers. And there can be changes in that degree. You also might want to go to extremes with, your image and your vision this month. I would say just wait a little bit. Do your budget, take a look, see how you feel about it, especially if it's like, no, go to the emotion first before you deal with anything out here because it's what's going on the inside too. I hope that helps. Possibilities of emotions and push-pulls, maybe even control. I would try and avoid that as much as possible. I've noticed lately, and I think it could be something to do with the transits, is especially when we are listening to star signs, sometimes how it's showing up is the polar opposite. It can be another person doing this to you. So don't outrule that, because if you have theoretically evolved and, you're kind of on that understanding of those positions, how it could show up as somebody else doing that to you, and you're going, you know what, enough's enough, that's coming to a head. So that is also how that can come through. Gemini, please be aware that because Uranus has moved into your zodiac sign, you're going to need to, I want you to picture Dory, right? Because you ain't Dory. You are the jack of all trades, and many of us are going to have to learn to be Gemini in many ways. It's like, oh my gosh, do you remember when we had the nodes in Gemini? We had so much technical issues. I have heard people complaining about tech at the moment, and I'm like, we have Uranus in Gemini. Welcome back, peeps. We have Uranus sitting in the sky in various places. We have Pluto, and they're all in the innovation sign. So we have these mad interest in astrology. We have this mad look at, we want to invest in AI. Do we, don't we? We're talking and looking at videos that could be to do with aliens, and we're, broadening the spectrum where they were more hush-hush subjects. It's connected to Aquarius. So, where maybe we didn't want to, fly a freak flag, if that is perceived in that fashion, now it's going to become more commonly accepted, except with Uranus and Gemini for you, it's going to put that into hyperdrive. So you need to be pretty aware of who you are, and you're predominantly, I would say, open-minded, but you can get bored easy, more than usual. Had a client today and they were mentioning their Gemini placement, and I referenced this and that, and they said, look, I do. And I went, no, this is next level. So it's a little bit like, and I remember my childhood, skipping through, going to school before you know it, you're running late, you're picking the daisies. It's like, oh, you're running late, you're late. If you want to achieve your goal, you're going to have to choose what you want to do. You're going to have to go into your side and know who you are and what you desire. And it's okay to evolve and change. But in order to effectively achieve that goal, you need to commit. Uranus is going to show you where that's not working and what needs to change, and it is going to come into you, as in you will be changing. You might think it's because of other people, but you are going to change. I hope that makes sense. Now, where it's showing up for you, this lunation, keep that in mind, with the little tip about where that placement went for you. And it's going to be there for 7 years, okay? So no escaping it. Have some fun with it. Lots of adventures. Okay, this is coming into your 6th house. Don't burn yourself out. You are going to have to restructure your routine. The 6th house can be bad habits. So you might be looking at, if you need a check-up again, I will say go have a check-up. The other thing I can say is we have had in history, and you can go and do your due diligence and listen to other astrologers and look at transits, Neptune, placement of Gemini. We have in history noted with those particular placements that very similar to 2020 can occur. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go. So this month could be a time we do need to practice caution hygiene, keeping an eye on the news, seeing what comes up. It won't be a hoax. Be aware of that. So looking after your health. Now, the 6th house is mundane stuff, okay? That doesn't mean to say it's not going to get you where you need to be. It's the eat, pray, repeat. It's your routine. It's the things you get done around the house. You could be looking at your house going, where did all this stuff come from? I need to get rid of this stuff. It might be that you need to clear your health out and have a detox at Scorpio. I'll be careful with toxins around the house at the moment. And if you feel funky, like I said, get it checked. Especially because it is in your 6th house. I would definitely say, if you feel off, get a check. But also be aware of your perimeter and your environment. It could be for a spider or for a snake. But definitely investigate. The other thing is we could feel as though we are burning ourselves out, or that we are more protective and, we're offended when we do something. So if you're going in to do something for someone, do it because you choose to do it. If you don't want to, the Scorpio energy of maybe the hurt and the upset is, I don't want to do that. Don't do what you don't want to do. Sometimes when I am, especially because I know my placements and where they are, and I kind of look at life and go, wow, it's always going to be unique, because unless the astrologer or the person who's doing the life reading knows exactly what the particulars are that are happening with you, don't ever take it personal, because put it where it fits. Does that make sense? Sometimes there are circumstances completely beyond our control that we have to actually deal with, and we do have to take a tactical approach. So take that in mind when I am saying these things. The other thing is, for you, you can have some very creative ideas. In a way, sometimes you are going to find your mind and your peace and your optimism is going to return. You could have a lot of creative ideas. Uranus was transiting over your 12th house. And so there was like every time, maybe how you thought about love, or maybe how you thought about yourself, the psychology, and who was there and who was your friend and who wasn't. So I think you're really having a rebalancing of that, of who you invest in and who you don't, and what's working for you. Your mind and your body are interlinked. It's going to be important to care for your wellness. And this is going to be a big journey for you, but at the moment it can be that we need to care for that area a lot more at the moment than usual. I'd also say, make sure in your physical environment that you are literally locking your door, keeping your environment safe, putting your poisons away. Yeah. That's really going to protect you. It could be that you also could be looking at your house going, hell, it's falling down. I need to repair. I need to do some work. It's, what Scorpio? It's decaying. I need to get the garden done. I need to get the house done. You could be like, it could be this OCD that comes over you where it almost gives you a panic attack that you feel there's just too much clutter and you've got to get it out. And it's just, how did you live in this space? So don't be surprised if that happens. So health kicks, I would start off slow. Health kicks, nutrition, taking time for meditation. If you're working in spiritual work and you need coaching with that, you can come through to our membership. It'll be open soon. But the other thing I can suggest, if you are doing that and you're a Gemini or a Sagittarius, you need to cleanse yourself after your clients. The 12th house has moved for you theoretically, but because the Uranian energy is there, you're going to have to flush in order to actually be able to deal with all that supercharged energy that's coming through you. It's going to feel very electric and your nervous system can get quite run down. So care for it in that way. Next. Bear with me because I kind of got to I'll have to reconfigure this so I can have your chat, my head off to the Pee-wee left. Gemini. Pisces. Oh, hell, Pisces. I feel sorry for you guys. Are you like, is this over yet? I feel sorry for Pisces and Virgos. But you know what? If I had champagne for you guys, I would congratulate you. You're doing very well. You're almost there. And your zodiac sign is the dream. Okay, you're the guru. You're the dream. You guys have had a very, very tough time. Are we denying that? Are we agreeing? It's almost over. We're almost there. And this particular zodiac sign, you will never be the same again. I can tell you from 2020, each nodal transition we've had, those zodiac signs are not the same anymore. Cancer and Capricorn are not the same anymore. Gemini and Sagittarius are not the same anymore. Aries and Libra. Oh my word, Aries and Libra, by the end of all of this, we are never going to be the same again. We're never. Would Taurus sign going to be the same again? I mean, if we dead say that, we'd have to be come back again, eh? That's just my opinion. If I have to come back, I'm going to be in the Bahamas with a pina colada. It's not going to be coming back for, yeah, let's do this again. It's great. Got to get it done right. So, Pisces, the nodes are going to be moving mid-year, a couple of months away, not that long. Generally speaking, before we get into where the Scorpio moon is, I need you guys to be aware you're at the last legs. The higher the degree point, the closer we get to that nodal axis, it's going to feel intense for you, but you're coming out the other side. Even pets, we get pets to do with Pisces. So if your pets are playing up, the lunations are there, they're going to be howling at the moon, they're going to be feeling it, and we do need to also pay close attention. So that's for everyone, including Pisces. Attention to your pets, attention to your psychology. Antonella knows whenever we do readings, the cat must love you, or she just wants to muck with your reading. She comes in and she literally is screaming like she's... So let's take a look at Pisces. My mum asked me, she's like, am I going to be here? I'm like, why would you ask me that for? I mean, you can ask astrologers that, but I'm telling you, it's the 12th house. Now, it's your first house, it's your 12th house where Pisces is. It's complex, but you're used to that. It's the fact that it's sitting in the moon, the nodes, the apogee, right? You have been going through a 1st and a 7th house. My part, what is their part? Do I, don't I? Only focusing on one, having to leave careers, move in a different direction. We see that happening with nurses. We see it happening with bookkeepers. Why? Because we can't keep the south node the same. What's Virgo? The banking system. We can't keep, by the end of the synodal phase, even moving ahead, it's changing. Okay? We can't keep it the same. It's changing, it's evolving. We see that globally. It's shifting, it's changing people's belief systems, how they're investing, it's changing. In your axis, you had hard-hitting energy with the conjunction in your second house. So it was like, oh crap, you know, it could have been this bill, that bill. It might have been, I need to invest in this, or where is my money? You know, where are my professional resources? I would say really amp up your security. It is your second house where Aries is, and also it will be making subject matters to that Scorpio moon. Scorpio for you is your 9th house. You know, I've been grappling with this one. I've been looking at this with different charts, and we're going to have a chat. Are you dealing with your philosophies and beliefs could be changing? You might be thinking of, you know, your marriage and connections and how they used to be and how good it would be if you had somebody around. It might be you want to travel to a distant place. It could be that you are thinking about upskilling and educating. It may be that you are going through old things connected to memories of the past in those distant locations. You also could be going through paperwork, official paperwork. You get my hint, hint, hunch. If you are having to wrap something up, 9th house can be, and again, this is not legal advice. It could be speaking to a guru, speaking to a counselor, looking at the spiritual things in life, counseling. It may be it could be somebody that was spiritual and flying towards you to come see you. Long distance travel, how you are working online with your connections and trades and things like that. Also, it can be litigation. It could be like a legal situation. Again, I can't advise you legally. I merely can tell you how it energetically could show up. So if you've been looking at those things and going, how do I navigate this? What are the analytics associated to it? You could feel almost triggered and nervous and wondering what it's going to be. I think give it a couple of days, give it to mid-month. If you need to make major decisions, again, you know, seek a professional. But your whole ideal and philosophy is evolving, and probably how you look at connections now. As it moves, and it's even amplified because of the fact that we do have, you know, the North Node in Pisces, the South Node in Virgo, you're already emotionally reevaluating that. You could also be wanting to do something very different in the aftermath and feeling that some of, you know, where we were holding ourselves back and felt we could never do anything was based around education. 9th house can be education and higher university. You could be like, gosh, I'm really worried. Like, what will I do? What will I be? Well, you move to the 9th house of Scorpio and you dig, and it's all your resources and everything you are inside of you. You're more than just the paper. You have the wealth and life of experience. And so you're evolving and you're moving through that and you're sharing that kind of value system. Does that make sense? So you can't, at this stage, let's be real. We can look at the fact that yes, there is going to be technology as a possibility, depending on how the world goes, where there are jobs theoretically that can be replaced, but connections can't be. And I think, you know, I was basically having a chat to my husband, and it was, my belief has been, I know this has a place, but I also know connections have a place. And I think we learnt that in 2020, and I think we came to an understanding that we do need connections. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel understood, but we want to exchange. And I think when we don't have something to do, it does become more dangerous. And I think we naturally have to have purpose. And if we don't have purpose, there's no purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? So, but we're going to have opportunities to be more creative, and I think that's the beautiful thing. So it could be that You could be having these out of body experiences. You could be getting really triggered, like, what is it going to be? Where am I going to go? If you're getting overwhelmed, I would say just pause. If you feel you need to get to a root cause of something, go deal with it. Cross your T's and dot your I's where it comes to your paperwork as well. I hope that helps. Cancer. Cancer, Cancer, Cancer. You know, it's funny. We do have Jupiter in Cancer, and yes, I understand the aspects of financial astrology. Okay. Technically speaking, the silver energy is not done theoretically, but because Pluto is retrograde, not Pluto, Jupiter is retrograde. It's getting back online. We had the other aspects, the conjunctions. Technically speaking, the energy of Aquarius is the things that are of precious metals. So for Cancer, you guys have not had fun so far, okay? There have been some hard starts from the beginning of the year to this point. You guys, very similar to 2020, you might have had some shadow energies coming up. You might have had some feelings around how people perceived you, who you could trust, if you were in the right place, if you were doing the right thing. And really having that sense of protection. And the hard part is you naturally are an energy of the crab, the shell. And so naturally you do protect yourself. You're very, very selective of who you let into your world. Sometimes you overdo, which is possibly something that you've worked through over the years. And yes, there are the two archetypes, and they have been moving through the astrology. So feminine energies from the empath side of things have been going through probably shadow work on and off since, I would say, depending on your zodiac sign, 2012 through, quite hard in 17 and 18. Masculines in the last few years and this year, as the movements of Saturn and Neptune. The way I described it to a client is, if you're expecting collective masculines to be hunky-dory through this time at the moment, it's quite a difficult placement. Like I said, it's like a brand new rebirth, and it's like, guess what? You can have more. I can have more. Yeah, you can have more. But guess what? Now you've got to have, childlike confidence with structure. And we're afraid because it's a whole new world. It's part of an awakening process. So that integration of it really heavy in April, now coming down into those Scorpio elements. And you're a Cancer. Cancer energies feel deep. So what do they do when they feel triggered unsafe? Well, they're either going to run for the hills, Jupiter, or they're going to be internalizing things. But then what happens when we feel backed into a corner? We push back. So I would say be careful of that. Be mindful of that. Your luck is going to energetically return. Some of you probably have felt like, well, Jupiter's in my sign. It's okay. Where I've got Jupiter, wasn't so lucky. But nevertheless, it does offer you opportunities. It depends on if and when you take them. So movement and change is going to continue. Where it lands for you, A, is technically in your zodiac sign, but on the other side of it, it's in your 5th house. Now, look, 5th house is interesting. It could be to do with a myriad of things. It could be to do with the list of affairs. It could be to do with your, children, passion, luxuries in life, having the moolah. Do I have it? No, I don't. Why can't I do the things I like to do? Indulgences and toxic patterns and habits, coping mechanisms. Yes, that can be pacifiers. I'm Pisces, feeling I'm going to do more with talent. She'll come online. Yeah, so Again, it can be the 5th house. You also could be looking at yourself going, wow, I need to get fit. The 5th house is really creative. It could be an old creative project comes to a close, or a hobby or a pastime, and just not really feeling the vibe. You could feel you probably do need to have fun, but you feel guilty if you do. And a healthy outlet and, ways of expressing yourself. If you find that when you're not accepted, or what you're trying to achieve, you're letting off steam is in that area, it might be finding a different way. You also could be looking at a particular thing that you're trying to create in your life, with a bit of frustration, and maybe even bringing spice and spark back. Some of you might be thinking it's all work, no play, and you could really be needing a bit of downtime. So just listen to your body and see how that lands for you. If there's an awkward situation that you're wanting to investigate or look into, in that area of your life, or a trigger and a memory is coming up, I would say give it a couple of days to 2 weeks and more clarity will come. Yeah. Now, as we move over to the Taurus moon, which more than likely, if I have time, we will cover that. This can be to do with your friendship groups. And this is why I was really looking at this placement and going, oh hell, what we've got to understand with these transits, this is a piece of my advice. When wounds show up, it doesn't mean it's so. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes, and what I've noticed with my clients over the last, through this April moving into this month, was sometimes how these things were showing up wasn't that it was factual, but it was triggering an old wound. So a circumstance would happen, and in the past when that happened, something always came about, and it was almost like we were energetically forced to sit in that frequency, to see that in fact it wasn't the fact, but it was helping us go, crap, that was really bad that happened to me, and that should not have happened to me. And that made me feel unworthy. So you might have had friends that really betrayed you. You might have, really felt that those friends were like your family, and then they weren't physically there for you in the past. And so that trigger can come up of, oh, how am I going to do that? You also could be really like grappling with, from a creative process, what could you do to branch something out to make it your dream, or to grow wealth? Because it can also be being there for people as well, but also trying to find something for you. You could have some luck there, so give it the 2-week window, wait for information to come through, dig inside, and something that you have also could end up being quite valuable. I'm just gonna say, you could stumble across something you find. Anyway, I forgot to move the screen. You're smart, Yildiz. Smart girl. We'll be here till tomorrow. Leo, are you having fun? I can say your Venusian sector is about to go retrograde. You could have blast from the past as Pluto goes into retrograde. And for you, the nodes very soon are going to be moving into your zodiac sign. You can be feeling, I just need to change. I want to change. I don't like my life. You are going to be so different by the end of this. We already have had the eclipse in Aquarius at the beginning of the year without the nodes being there. The reason I'm referencing certain points for certain zodiac signs is because it's what's coming. It's what you need to be ready for. You inside your life, your direction is going to change. Who you are is going to change. Your status is going to change. You already can feel it rumbling under the surface. And even where it came to your wealth, some of that could have popped off, and it's evolving, but it's also asking you, until the nodes move, you still need to be careful in that department. You still need to do that due diligence in evolving and transforming and looking at ways you can actually transform that direct sector of your life. Now, Home environments, it's funny that it was the first thing I was looking at because Virgo links to your second house and it is in the south node. Generally speaking, it's the things we can directly invest in. So they're like a material value. It could be your professional resources. It could be like your invested land. And the first thing I was thinking when I was looking at that is wounds associated to what you own versus what you don't. Now, this moon lands in your home zone. It lands in your family zone. There can be misunderstandings in the home front. Yes, especially if you have children around the house, be really careful with anything toxic, put it out of Locke's way. Pay attention to anything that's off. If you look at your environment and it needs cleaning, do the spring cleaning. But you also might be feeling like you need to move. It could be that a move comes about. It may be that suddenly that's happening, or you're worried about, do I have the money for that? Can I do that? Is it wise for me to do that? How do I invest? How am I going to do that? Again, I would say if this is sibling, family, mother related, understand that if they're triggered, you can be triggered. And there could be some repairs that actually need doing around the home as well at a very basic level. I also would be careful, although it's fourth house and not fifth house, I mean, Cancer also. Um, it's a full moon, something to do with children for Cancer could wrap up. But for you, fourth to fifth house could be pregnancy. So again, I'll be careful. Yeah, be it's one of your children that they tell you, guess what, I'm having a baby. But again, the repairs around the house. So, and if you had all of a sudden there was an expense that comes in, be aware of that. I'd also say add security. It is Scorpio in nature, especially because it's your home zone. Missing things, you could lose things around the home. I would actually make sure that if you're just popping out the back, check your environment, make sure that things are safe, and, be extra security conscious around your valuables at that time. Moving over, I do see that you can have some bonuses coming through. And this can be deriving from, you also could have some breakthroughs, especially in your career zone. Now, it could be that you land a new job. It might be that there is a change or there's a bonus or a perk that comes through at that time. It could be something that was already in the pipeline, but you didn't quite know how it was going to go. You also could start investing in a side hustle or a business for yourself and start actually receiving some benefits. This also can be a really deep conversation that you have with somebody that is a work colleague that actually shows some respect and love for you. It also could be some spiciness at work. And again, because we do have the Scorpio moon this month, if you are doing any of the naughties, just be careful. Okay, just be careful. Okay, Libra. Are you having fun, Libra? Are you happy, Libra? Do we have Libra in the house or have we all gone to work? For Libra, you have all that energy over in your seventh house. You may have been very busy. You could have had a lot of things to do with your body and burnout coming up. Your wellness, Chiron is there. So again, over to the seventh house. Your body looking after yourself. Bones can be associated because Saturn's there. You also directly are evolving. And again, your income sector, your finances, your wealth, what you can depend on. You could actually pay a debt off at this time. You might have insecurities to do with what you own. You could become obsessive to do with certain things. This could be a good time to declutter, but actually look at what you need and what you don't. You could actually give away. You could sell. You could stumble across something that it reminds you of somebody, and you become very nostalgic and say, who do I hand this down to? Very legacy kind of frequency. I know it can be deep. Your feelings can be deep. Your emotions can be deep. The give and taking connections, and where you thought maybe that you would be. Are you in the right location? Do you have um, the rapport with individuals that work for you? Have they appreciated you? So the insecurity can just be that. It can be an emotion. There could be a major bill that comes up connected to home, or it might be that this also, and I did mention this to Google, although I wouldn't say this is a manifestation moon because it is quite eighth housey, some luck can actually derive from these quite shockingly between the beginning to the end of the month. And so, although because it's a full moon smack into it, moving into a new chapter. So, is it going to feel easy to navigate? Some of these things can be quite shocking and sudden. Keep that in mind too. But really looking at, okay, what do you need? What do you not? How do you move things about? How are you protecting? What are you investing in now? That's some of the ways that can show up with the Scorpio axis. As we're moving around, you also can find, again, that there is an increase. You might have a friend that reaches out. You could have all of a sudden this creative idea that you want to create that is very 11th house. You also can be really operating in that Aquarian frequency that you're wanting to help people, you're wanting to make a difference. This can be connections to groups where there's enjoyment, but there could be a large amount that does come to you. And it could be even like looking at a loan or getting a lump sum of some description. And does that help? It would help. I think nobody would complain to that. In any shape. Lotto maybe. Scorpio. So you are doing the polar opposite of Taurus. This is happening in your 7th house. For you, you could be questioning, oh my God, do I go change? I'm telling you, it's like the Emperor's New Clothes. Sometimes what we need to get is understand the energy of Scorpio. It's deep, it's emotional. Yes, it can be passionate, it can be, sassy. We can also feel like, where was my nurturing? Because it's moon and itself, it's like, was my mother there? Was my father there? What do I have? Why do people take from me? There could be a pushback. You could be like, you know what? You just need to watch out. Your status directly can be changing. So do these things all have to be negative? No, we could have the into the pit and then go, wow, we've had a brand new chapter. We've just ended something. We've walked away from it. It's like it never happened. Some of us are going to go into the emotions because we need to feel. We could uncover some truths. We could have a different belief system in the way we're operating with people. That's for everyone. And then we can jump back out and have, bang, a chapter happening, a chapter unfolding. And we're like, heck, okay, we're on the roller coaster. Here we go. Now, your status will change. So how can that show up? New relationship. How can it show up? I look different now. I need to change my hair. It always happens inside first. Are people judging me? How do I look? Do they think I'm silly? Why are they staring at me? So paranoia can come in, control can come in, anger. The archetypes, the younger the energy with the zodiac sign, the more difficult the transit potentially can be, depending on their understanding and self-awareness. The older the energy gets inside of that zodiac sign, you're going to have people coming to you, you're going to have people telling you their problems, and you'll be like, why is this person approaching me? You will be very intuitive. You're going to be almost very similar to Cancer, where you can look at, you may say things and then people say to you, it's not appropriate that you say that. And then the older you get, you're able to put it where it lands. You're able to talk about the more taboo subjects, but also you can do that, but other people not necessarily can. This is something we're going to all be facing with this lunation. It's talking about the difficult things. It's talking about debt. It's talking about the intimate act. It's talking about, maybe a private medical condition that you didn't want to, you get my gist. They're the difficult subjects, the things that we'd just like to chuck that skeleton in the closet and can we just leave it there? It's really embarrassing. That's Scorpio. It's the person who works at the morgue. It's the deep, gritty stuff. So that naturally is you. How you look is going to change. How you feel, how you authentically can be yourself. Not like when you're operating, it's not to prove anything to anyone. It's such a waste of energy. The one beautiful thing about aging is you really get over what somebody thinks, because they're not going to, unless you were the utmost bee's knees. There are some people that come into our life that are there, and even when they transcend, even when they're around us, they're like, you know what, you're the bee's knees. There's others that won't give you a second thought, but you give them 20. So get that, know that, place the energy where it's deserving. Focus on your goals and your dreams. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Rome wasn't built in a day. Try to wait to the mid. Don't get too energetic and go to town and, you know, like the Emperor's clothes, and go out and slow down. Slow down, wait, get your balance, keep Venusian energy in balance. Get your, if it's your career, get that in balance. If it's money, get that in balance. It's coming. More balance, new chapters, transformation and change. And it could be you tweaking some things as well. Where it comes to love, you could be creating boundaries. You might be speaking out a bit more. You could be having deeper meaningfuls with people that you love and giving them some home truths. You might be pursuing a betrayal to address it. It'll be interesting to see on a global stage how that plays out. Who do we have next? Oh, we got Sagittarius. We're getting there. We are getting there. And then I'll answer a few questions and I'll hit the road. Sagittarius, you guys, as I mentioned, similar to Gemini, Uranus now has moved into your relationship sector. So guess what? Those changes, the unexpected spontaneity for those in relationships is coming back. Now, if it's on the rocks, it could create a bit of drama. It might be that you're like, you know what, I can hang about, I can deal with this. And then just one day you get up and you're like, hell no, I'm done, diddy done. That is a possibility. I will not lie to you. But it also could be, I need to get fit. I need to change. You know, your ways in which you're evolving could actually go through that. Yes, but it's on screen, so you will be able to play back. I'll answer questions at the end of this anyway. I've only got 2 more. So Sagittarius for you. You're a Jupiter in nature sign. We are going to have a full moon this month. So your status is coming up for an ending and a new beginning. But Uranus has moved into your relationship sector. We also get things to do with, oh God, okay. So the Aries conjunction could have been anything to do with betrayals or creativity, creative projects, and maybe feeling like you want luxuries, but you can't. You want to go out, you want to have fun, but you can't, or there's a push-pull. And there's a wait. No, wait. Now, it is going to be very important at this time to be super aware of what you are psychologically dealing with. Is because the Scorpio moon for you is over your 12th house. This is about hidden enemies. If you have done something in the dark, your friend is going to tell on you. Example. Or if you're paranoid, or if somebody's been pressing at you, how is it directly impacting your psychology? If you find that you emotionally, through the Scorpio moon, are super sensitive, I would also say this would probably be the worst physical time to tamper with anything that is, what's the term I could use? A pacifier. We are on YouTube. A pacifier. It's probably a risky time to do it with that placement. You want to be coherent. You want to be with it. We won't tend to be able to flash toxins from our body as much as usual because the moon's in Scorpio. So our lymph systems, our lymph nodes, and that they're just not going to flush. So, say if you were going to have an odd glass at dinner, it's not going to flush. So, how you go about that, this is a great month for detox, even just within the first week. Be aware of that. 12th house can be the house of hidden enemies. It could be imprisonment. It might be mental asylums. It could be psychologist. It might be you want to see a professional for you or another person. You could be expressing how you feel. You might feel you're trapped. It could be to do with debt or fears or paranoia. I would say, the first thing is if you need help, always reach out to anyone. B, it could be in sitting with it and having the adult conversation you need to have. Sometimes you can get to the root cause of situations. Don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Speak to someone. Because the moon is on both sides, you also could want to just all of a sudden turn over a new leaf. You're like, you know what? I'm just not doing this anymore. I'm going on a health kick. I'm shifting gears. I'm not letting this define me. The old me is gone and I am moving up and up. That is also another way this can play out. I just want people to be aware that because it is Scorpio, it can be deep. So yes, we might have some people actually expose themselves for who they are. We may have a understanding that you are evolving and something needs to change. We could be noticing that patterns and habits have been affecting others around us, or that theirs have been. Like I said, it can go both ways. Capricorn. Oh, gosh, it has been a few years for you guys, hasn't it been? Okay, now for you. Pluto is retrograding in your second house. I would say, again, make sure of being security conscious relating to your professional resources, your value. Check your logins, especially because it's Uranian energy. It might be, say, if you have money in the bank, you want to change your logins, you want to make sure that you're accounting for everything. Anything you're looking to kind of invest in, you're going to be reflecting. You could be reworking your finances. You could be reworking what you are going to do moving forward and how you're going to generate certain things. Maybe it isn't a business. Maybe it's just in general what you wish to invest in. That's with the Pluto axis. The other thing is, you can have very nostalgic memories of maybe a friend that transcended over because it's Scorpio in nature, for instance. I'd also say Sagittarius, you could be very psychic at the moment. So again, any pacifiers, be careful, because then something that is psychic could come and it could turn into a psychic attack instead of some message in a bottle that your past over loved ones are trying to give you. With you, Capricorn, yours is in your 11th house. You could have an investment or be refinancing. You might have worries about things that you've directly invested in. There could be some changes to do with a friend. There could be some memories and messages in a bottle coming through from a friend, be it it's in the here and now or a loved one. You might be looking at refinancing debt. And again, it can happen in a myriad of ways, but if you were wanting to go into something, do your due diligence, pause, see how things flow, and you may have maybe a better kind of understanding of it as we move forward. This also can cause misunderstandings with friendship groups. And, certainly the things that you are doing in groups, it could be, you're with the church and you're helping them out to do something. There can be some misunderstandings there. It could be that you are consoling a friend through a traumatic situation, and you're being that energy there for that person too. As the moon moves into Taurus, it's doing the polar opposite, and it can be bringing you some goodies, but we will look at that a little bit later. Again, you could be really there could be a social event, there might be a party that you're going to. You also could become extremely creative. This could be great for businesses with creative outlets, and it could be a gift or something to that degree. Yeah, you also could get Yeah, I would even say, I don't like to say this, but it could be like, I won lotto. I'm just saying it's possible. Aquarius. How you doing, Aquarius? Are you enjoying the transit so far? Like I said, I had a friend and I was like, God, I told them that it was going to be okay. But, the first house is tough, the first and the seventh house, because like I said to Aries years ago, it's like all of a sudden the universe hands you the microphone and goes, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? How do you feel? And you're like, huh, what? Well, what about them? No, no, no. How do you feel? And so you have to go into you're on the stage, you got stage fright, you got to sing, but you got to tell us how it's going to be. And then suddenly it's the opposite side, and you need to look at your partnerships and your friendship groups and your connections, and you're evolving through that axis back and forward. It's, well, I thought I had to be this. No, you didn't. How has this changed me? Or how have I changed? It's the back and forward. And by the end of it, which is what Pisces and Virgo are currently doing. So you can have karmic tests with that. Aquarius, yes. Leo, yes. You guys are going into that phase. And in some ways for a long period of time, but in some ways this is going to be more how you guys operate. Okay, it's evolution, it's change, it's flying your freight flag, it's being who you are. That's where you're going to. At the moment you might not quite feel that. For you, you have had transits hitting your second house. You have been really focusing on that, wanting to generate more, looking at what's working, or maybe even having insecurities that everything that comes and goes out, is it ever going to become stable? Is it going to be okay? Needing to do things that are more spiritual for you, but also feeling how could I put it? Maybe needing to dive deeper into understanding, economics and the new age and what they all mean. Pisces in that position doesn't generally operate great, but it also could be that you had a lot of focus on, protecting yourself and gaining assets and putting things away for a rainy day to create kind of that buffer for yourself, very similar to that Taurian energy. Now, the third house, you might have been having April. I keep saying last month, we haven't quite got there, but unless we get to 1 o'clock in the morning, which no, we're not. Car-related subjects, contracts, I would say your routine could be going through a change. It's our conversations and how we communicate and, misunderstandings with the third house, but also feeling as though you need to address some things and move some things around, and also very overactive mind. It's going to really make that extreme, but it's going to ask you to get your thoughts quite focused and push them into particular areas. It's probably going to amplify even further because you are Aquarius. Pluto's going to go retrograde. Your zodiac sign sitting in Pluto. Aries is very Mars in nature, and then we have the Scorpio moon. So be aware of that as we're moving through this, so that you're not dumbfounded and go, oh, why is everything going wrong? It's not that it's going wrong, it's deep. So this is to do with, am I in the right direction? What is my purpose? What do I want to be in this lifetime? Am I on point? Is it coming to an end? Do I have a job? Do I not have a job? Do I need to leave this behind? Is this affecting my, my wellness? Is something going on that is deep? What is the give and take within my relationships? What are they giving versus what am I getting? There could be a big debt. You might be having to help somebody in a particular way around career. There could be somebody at work that you're supporting through a change, but it also can be just in general. Sometimes when we have a full moon, all the nodes are in the zodiac sign, or we have a major kind of transit associated to that, doesn't automatically mean, hey, I've lost my job or you don't have a job anymore. It could mean that there's a restructuring within the industry. So that is a possibility. You could have some wounds to do with that. You also could be dealing with debt. You're like, hell, I'm working, but I'm still in debt. Like, how do I deal with this? I do think some of the solutions are coming through. It could be paperwork related. It might be digging into the insecurities. And as we transit through, there could be some solutions that are actually coming for you. Also, I do feel if you were looking at, okay, financing shared resources, investing, like say you were waiting, it's like, have I got the money? Do I have the loan? Is it going to get there? Do I have the paperwork? How is this happening between job and home? You could be looking at a home-based business. You also could be looking at, could you work from home? You might be wanting to purchase a home and you're waiting for the paperwork and you're having anxiety. You're wondering, do you do that? All of those things are equally possible. Okay. Now, do we have any questions while I'm here in general? I might put me back here. Be careful during these transits because, as I mentioned, we can have perpetrator energy, we can have danger. We do need to protect ourselves if we're being intimate so we don't get sick or get a disease, as an example. Around toxins, put them away. Around our environment, if you're walking alone, be aware of your surroundings. And yeah, unpacking the emotions of where the trigger is, which I mentioned towards the beginning of the video. If you have any questions, feel free to put them on the video. The other thing is, like I said, I do feel there's going to be a lot of females that are looking at life in general, and they are looking at balances. This could be to do with equality. It could be to do with the give and take. It might be to do with how we're viewed in society. I do think it's going to be quite a significant subject through this year, especially because we have Juno retrograde, which is going to be in Aquarius. We also will have Jupiter moving into Leo. On top of that, we will have Venus retrograde, which is going between, I believe, starting in one side and moving into another. But again, it is Adu bones. I feel that, like the Phoenix, for a lot of us, we are going to the underrealm and we are coming up a brand new version of ourselves. And even based on where we see the moon the day before the full moon, is to do with the harmony, is to do with the integrity, is to do with the fact that how far you've come, especially if you don't feel you're where you need to be or where you thought you would be. It doesn't mean you can't get there, and it doesn't mean that based on everything we understand right now and see, this is it, so to speak. So, try to keep optimistic with it and get that. Scorpio takes you down into the depths, not for no purpose. It's taking you there for a reason to free you. It's taking you there to help you evolve and come up a brand new version of yourself. And we weren't meant to stay the same. Nothing was meant to stay the same. So any questions before we hit the road? I don't want to do what I did last time and just go, by the way, here's the update. Okay, later. This was longer. Your Pisces feeling I'm going to do more with talents. What zodiac sign's your daughter, Chris? You're welcome. How's work? Oh, you're like, Yildiz, I can't talk. I'm at work. I have been having neck aches and headaches. I think a couple of my subscribers have as well. And I put this particular oil on my neck, and it's organic, but it literally is like what we equate to like it's not something you'd want to get on your, like I said, poison. You wouldn't want to get it on your lips or, and I wash my hands, but, certain things you just can't get rid of. It's like chili. And I literally touched the corner. I was like, tastes ghastly. But it helps for the neck aches and strains and pains I've got happening in my body. So yes, you will be able to pull the video back, and hopefully if I've got time or somebody has time, you can timestamp it. Otherwise, if I do have time, I will, but you can move back and forward and it will show you the zodiac sign on the screen. So I hope that helps. Otherwise, I will see you soon. What kind of oil? I'll have to get the name of it. It's actually like they put a plant. There's a piece of a plant. It's like a leaf of some description. And then they infuse it in an oil, but it's for pain management. I can't remember the name. It smells lovely. It's very sinus clearing. So with my sprain, torn ligament in my ankle, my neck, when you're walking oddly and you have an injury, everything goes out of joint. So it was like temple and neck and spine, and it's like I need a walking cane. But yeah, it's dangerous. I remember my grandmother, she used to do crushed chili, and she went for a shower. She goes, you should never not wear gloves. Dangerous. Anyway, better be careful. It's Scorpio home truths. We better not share everything. If you think of it. Yeah, no, I will. I'll send a photo. I have the name of it. I just can't recall. Does it work? There was one I had years ago, and it was for muscle pain joint. I'll tell you, that stuff was gold. It was magic. Magic in a bottle. I'd put it on my temple to get rid of headaches and pain, and the sinus would be clear. They don't make them like they used to. So good time to detox, good time to be extremely safe. Cold cases can be cracked, old taboo subjects. I wouldn't be surprised. I know that Prince Charles has Scorpio in his chart. I've been watching him and he does look frail, and it's not I would ever wish anything terrible on a person. But based on those transits, they've been looking at his mother's birth chart and looking at, his inauguration, and I think you'd term it that way. His coming into kingdom, and that Scorpio energy there can be surprising. It could be a woman figure. We could have somebody quite famous that is a sort of like family, in-house family name pass. What else? Yeah, subjects to do with tax, subjects to do with oil, subjects to do with an affair and a celebrity or a divorce. Gossip, like just it's going to get extra. It is going to get extra. Share when you're here, but definitely be careful of your safety.